How are you guys doing? I'm Martin from Gardens for Life. Sorry about that delay. Thank you for joining tonight. So we'll just hang on for a second for people to join and give them a chance. Can you hear me okay now? Yeah, I had a little bit of a technical difficulty in that I hadn't clicked on the right field yet. But thank you for joining us tonight. This is our 29th session of our live chat and questions and answers. And please remember, if you have any questions for me, especially about gardening, such as no-dig and forest gardening, how to make a garden productive and low maintenance, please let me know. I'm very happy to answer any questions you might have. Also about homesteading or preserving food, or we do a little bit of that, not too much now because we haven't had much time for it now, even though this time of year, September, October, is normally the time of year when I try to get a bit of that done. For example, all of the some of the produce in late summer as well. We'd like to preserve it, but most of the vegetables that we have now, we grew quite a few vegetables, not a lot, not enough to see us through even half the year on our household actually, but a few bits and pieces that we can keep out there late into the winter, and we can just harvest them fresh, so we don't have to actually preserve them. Things like, Swedes, beetroots, kale, that type of stuff does fine out there. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions, but also please let me know if you have any experience with growing pumpkins and when should I collect them out there. Charles from the Bull and Axe said to me one time a few years ago that it's best to collect them before the first frost, so that the pumpkins don't actually get damaged, and hopefully we'll make our pumpkin video before that happens. Tonight it's going to be 0 degrees. Oh. Hello, Mike. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us tonight. Sorry, folks, I wasn't able to do the live chat last week. I had a chest infection and a bit of a cough. Wasn't feeling too well now. I needed a few days of rest anyway. Actually, last week I had designated to actually take a rest and get more sleep in general, but it turns out I ended up with a chest infection, and that took all of that energy away too. So now we're back to normal this week. Still probably could do with a bit of extra recovery now yet, and before the harvest season, although it's pretty much harvest season from midsummer until Christmas. If you have a garden, like a no-dig garden, for example, or a forest garden for that matter. So let me just show you here. We'll just take a real quick look at the weather here. So this is in Roscommon now, in the Midlands of Ireland. So if you live elsewhere, of course, that weather may very well be very different. But in general, we're just going to have a look here. 1 degree tonight now. But all night it's going to be quite cold. So not quite 0. So I think we're safe enough for the pumpkins today anyway. We haven't really had a frost yet where it goes to minus temperatures at night. But you can see here it's still quite dry, not too bad. And we're not getting that much colder yet. So look at that. Thankfully, even into all the way to the 19th of October, it's going to get a little bit warmer again. Of course, with the warmth here we also get a lot of rain as well. So luckily, we're in Ireland here, so in Ireland we don't get extreme weathers like hurricanes. They usually don't do too much damage by the time they get here, and we don't get the kind of rainfall that Tennessee has seen in the recent weeks anyway. And I can't imagine what kind of damage has been caused by that hurricane last night that hit Florida. So I haven't had a look at it yet. I had a quick look this morning, but anyway, hopefully people will be all right after a while and build it all back up again. So one quick thing I want to just show you when I have you there. I'm just going to show you. We just added our new Louisiana sage actually. So this is the sage here, and when you rub the leaf, it smells really nice. It's actually also medicinal, and I did put a link here. Let me see. Give me a second. Yes, there's a link here for the plants for a future, website. If you don't know that website, it's just pfaf.org. It's really handy. You can type any plant, a common name or a Latin name in the very top in the search here. They're not a sponsor, but I just like their website. I've been using them for years. So I said, you know what? I'm going to support them a little bit. And I'm always telling people about it, but I'm going to actually bought their books as well. So I'm going to add those to our products page on the website as well, the recommended books and products. But Louisiana sage is a very useful plant. It's also known as white sage, but not Russian sage actually, and prairie sage as well. So, but look, we've also added sweet woodruff back in, and lamb's ear, and some yarrows and Siberian yarrow as well. So if you want to take a look at our website, that's one way to support us. You can get some plants. And one thing I want to just show you real quick, here's a link on the very top, recommended products and books. And you can see here, these are just some of the items that we like to use. And the dryer is actually great. We're glad that it's back in stock. We have 3 of these, and we dry a lot of herbs and flowers. Even this time of year, there's still stuff you can do. And we just hang them up in the greenhouse. You can also hang them up in the house as well. So I'm not showing this to you for any reason other than that it's handy to have. And I just want to show you. So these are just some of the products we use and some of the books as well. So I have the camera right in front of me here, so it's right in front of the screen. Yeah, Martin Crawford's books. So these are some of the people that actually that inspired us. Let me just show you here. For those of you, I actually was given a talk there during the week in Cavan, in a place called Ballina, just south of Cavan town. And it was great. I was glad to be there. And there was about 25 people at it, only about half as many as usually though, because there was another event on the same night. And yeah, so that was a really nice day. And I was just giving a talk about no-dig and forest gardening. So people over there up in Cavan were very interested, and some of them are actually master vegetable growers too. So I was delighted and to talk to people like that, because I'm not a good vegetable grower, believe it or not. I grow a bit of everything, mostly mostly perennials, of course, so plants that grow for 3 years or even longer. And just because conventional vegetables are great, but there are quite a bit of maintenance. You have to kind of be on the ball. You have to sow them at the right time and harvest them at the right time. I like to just have plants that you can sow once and you can just let it grow for years, and you can just harvest some of it whenever you need it. So here, look, this is the list of people that inspired us, and I just wanted to show them to you real quick. If you want to have a look at the list, I'll just put a link into the message or into the chat here. Give me a second there. Again, if you guys have any questions for me about gardening, yes, we do ship to Wales, and also, so this list here of people that have inspired us is it doesn't have everybody on that list, but a lot of people, a lot of the people that have inspired us, and it's well worth looking them up. A lot of them are on YouTube too. Some of them are not, unfortunately, but some of them have written books as well, so you can get those. And Michael Pilarski deserves an extra mention. I mean, what I might do is, some of these days, I might even make a little bit of a webinar just talking about each of these people. Or maybe we'll just pick one and we'll just talk about each person once a week or something like that. So let's see if we can make a little bit of content like that, but I might just do it not live. I might just do it as a kind of a video series instead. So yeah, so I put the link into the chat anyway, if you want to have a look. A lot of people from around the world here that do all kinds of amazing work, and it's well worth looking them up as well. In particular, Paul Gauci, he's the Back to Eden guy. He's actually an ex-veteran soldier from the Vietnam War, and he lives in the Washington state, I believe. Yeah, Washington. And he just started growing his garden with wood chips, so he doesn't have to irrigate. And it worked great. And now there's people from around the world actually coming to visit his garden just to have a look. And he's very generous with his knowledge as well. and he has lots of tours of his garden. Luckily, other people helped him with that as well. But Martin Crawford with his 2-acre forest garden in Devon in southern England. Ben Falk would be Vermont or somewhere around there anyway, north of New York State, where it's really cold, and he has a second book out now, so I'm going to actually get that, and I'll let you know what it's like. Apparently his wood burning stove is in it too. So anyway, just a little bit about a couple of the people here. Now, let's see here. So if you have questions, please just type your question into the chat, and just start with the word question if you don't mind. If the question is directed towards me, that's how I'll know. Hello to County Monaghan. Thank you for joining us now. Let me see here. So, Jay, is that your question, is it? So you have a wildflower meadow, is it? You've trimmed for the first time in 2 years. Any advice to improve variety of native plants, or should I have left it, or should I leave it? Good question. We grow a lot of native plants. We grow a lot of European native plants as well. A lot of wildflowers to feed the local insect population and attract beneficial insects to our garden that will also then take care of our crops as well. And that's one of the key things that I always mention, to try, and it's probably actually the number one thing you can do to increase biodiversity, other than making sure that soil life is healthy anyway. But this is not a question about no dig. I have to keep coming back to it. So wildflowers are great. A lot of them are annuals, though. We don't bother much with the annuals because you have to wait until they go to seed again for them to regrow. And oftentimes, where does a seed land? Where does a seed land in nature? It lands on top of the soil. It doesn't get dug in. So it might get covered by leaves if it's kind of in a forest clearing or that type of thing. But in general, seeds land on top of the soil and they actually germinate. They're able to germinate, and some seeds even need sunlight or light to germinate. Most of the wildflowers don't, though. So we prefer growing perennials, to be honest. Have I got any here? Look, I actually brought some plants from the garden, and this is Olympic mullein, which is a cousin of the great mullein, and it's just a slightly different. It's also known as orange mullein. It's a slightly different flower. It's a bigger flower, and also it flowers for even longer. So you can harvest the flowers and make a great oil for earaches, for example. But the flowers, as soon as you harvest the stalk, the flowers they just come off. By the way, when you're making an oil with this, you need to put them into an oil, but I would dry them first because as little moisture as possible is always good. What was I going to show you here? I don't have any of the other wildflowers here now, but yarrow is definitely one that we like to sow. One thing, so great mullein is definitely our favorite, but it's the only one that's not perennial that we grow anyway. We also grow a lot of chamomiles as well. They're perennial. They're a bit flimsy, like they do come back though year after year. Maybe not forever, but as long as you keep an eye on them and always kind of start a few more plants. Probably the best thing you can do, Jay, is to, I don't know what scale your wildflower meadow is, but what you could do is you could just leave it. I would leave it anyway, unless the grasses are growing too vigorously in among the wildflowers. But the problem you have is if you're chopping the wildflowers, you're stopping the seed production for this year's seed anyway. If you cut it before the seeds ripen anyway, and all of the annuals will probably die out because of that. They won't come back next year. But all the plants that some of the seeds might still be in the ground and they might still come back. So, but the perennials are better like that. We prefer growing perennials because they're just lower maintenance, and you can always put one or two here and there. Like you can start perennials very easily, like yarrow, for example. You can start it from seed, and you can start like 100 plants in no time at all, just in one big seed tray. So that's what I did. You can also start these kind of plants, like the verbascum or the mullins. They're also nice. We have 2 new varieties of mullein as well. Silver mullein and mock mullein. So we'll see what those are like. I hope that answers your question, or maybe it has confused you more, but sure, let me know if you have any other questions anyway. Mike here is saying, let me see here, we saw your video on making the herbal tea. We were surprised at the amount of herbs and the many different types you use in one tea. Always thought about only using one herb. So Mike, what I would do is, herbs work much better. Like herbs, medicinal herbs, work much better when you combine them. So your body basically it benefits from taking one herb, but if you take a second herb that also has the same benefits, it multiplies the effect exponentially. So, like for example, the biggest one is, or the best example is turmeric. When you heat it up with a bit of water, like a bit of tea, we make a tea from turmeric, like 1/3 of a teaspoon or 1/2 a teaspoon with 1/2 a cup of water, hot water. And then you can also add some black pepper, or you can just eat the black pepper with your breakfast, for example. And you take the anti-inflammatory properties from the turmeric, and then you add the black pepper, and it multiplies the anti-inflammatory properties by 1,000, a factor of 1,000. That is, it makes it so much more powerful. Same as all the other herbs, there's no harm at all in mixing them, and it's actually a good thing, in fact. So like ginger, I was doing a tea for the lungs. So the great mullein, again, here it is. That's the Olympic mullein now, but the great mullein, the leaves actually you can use as a tea, just as an expectorant. So it clears the lungs. It helps you cough up, keep the coughs productive, and that's really important when you're coughing. Nothing worse than having a dry cough. You're coughing, but nothing comes up. So you can definitely get gravity to help you out too. So just as an aside, what else was I putting in? A marshmallow to make it more soothing to the throat, like the mucilage in marshmallow leaves, and probably you can put in a bit of lemon balm, which is a kind of antihistamine, but it's good for many things. Again, I'm not a professional herbalist. You better look these things up. By the way, let me just show you. I'll just show you real quick. Yes, you can see my screen now. Let me see here. Where is that book? In our recommended books here, I have a listing for, here it is, the Encyclopedia of Herbal Medicine. If you haven't got that book yet, I would highly recommend it. It's only €20 on Amazon, and it's well worth it. And if you're buying through our links, you'll support us just a tiny bit, and we'd highly appreciate that. But anyway, the Encyclopedia of Herbal Medicine is a great book. We've always used it as a reference for many, many years now. And there are many other ones, like even the Back to Eden, of course. There is a lot of good herbal medicine books, and we have a little bit of a library for all things herbal medicine, all things gardening, such as actually what I'll do is I'll make a video about the library, and I'm just kind of going through the books and adding on a few too from the other crowd, Plants for Future at the moment. So let me see here. And thank you for joining, everybody. There's quite a few of you now today. So I have a question here from, is it Oli? Oli? Sorry, no, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Thanks for the kale cuttings. Should I plant straight out into raised beds or into greenhouse first if I do it this week? So it is quite cold outside, and I think they'll root over the winter. I would plant them. You could probably plant, if you have enough of them, you could probably plant them, some of them outside directly in the soil. But so there's advantages and disadvantages to growing kale cuttings or rooting them in a pot or in a container. The problem is it'll dry out much quicker. So you need to keep it watered. You can just put it outside somewhere in a shaded spot so it doesn't dry out. There's no need for the sun to hit that cutting. Just in a shaded spot outside in a container with potting soil or seed starting soil is ideal. And you can put more than one cutting in a pot as well if you don't have enough compost from a bag. The reason why I say seed starting soil is because, or potting soil, or compost, is because it is more sterile than the stuff outside, and it won't rot the cutting. It's much less likely for the cutting to go rotten, actually. So a lot of the kale, the Daubenton, definitely roots easier. I don't know if did you receive your cuttings just today or yesterday? I think today. If so, you may have been. I think you bought both the Taunton Dean kale and the Daubenton kale. Hang on here. I'll just show you now. So they're both perennial, actually, and they both can be grown from a cutting. Here's the Daubenton kale. Take a look at this. It is quite beautiful. It's really ornamental, and it's actually really tender. It's a very tender kale. It's very fine leaf, like it's very easy to chew. The stems are very minimal, and you can also grow it even in a flower bed if you wanted to. You can have your edible landscaping plant right there. You can grow food under cover if you want to do that. Let me show you here's the Taunton Dean kale. This is the one. And it's also a great one. Charles Dowding actually brought the cutting over to the workshop in Burr, and friends of ours from Wicklow were actually there at the workshop. They gave us a cutting, and we got some of them going years ago. Now we've got lots of it, so we're delighted. They are harder to root, a little bit harder to root than the Daubenton. The Daubenton almost always takes. This one here, I usually give a couple of extra cuttings with any order because I just want people to have a good success rate. And usually we just plant them directly out into the soil. There is some videos on our YouTube channel. Hang on, let me show you. And I'll just show you here kale. Hang on a second. See this? Our son always eats raw kale in the garden. Well, we don't force him, by the way. He also won't eat cooked kale in the kitchen, but he'll eat it raw in the garden. So I have a few different videos here. There's one on kale here, and let me just show you. Oh, why is there an ad here? Oh, it's because I'm using a different browser. Sorry about that. So I just want to show you real quick the difference here. That's actually a Portuguese kale leaf, and Portuguese kale is still one of the best kales you can grow, and it does make it through the winter. But I think the Nero de Toscana, which is the one on the left-hand side here, you can see it there on the left, that darker kale, it stays better quality during the winter months anyway. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that real quick. There's also a video here, just in case you want to know about that. The kale cuttings, how to grow a plant from a cutting, basically. So yeah, just type the title in there, Free Kale Plants Forever, how to start cuttings, into our YouTube channel, and you'll find, or just type in kale, like I did there a minute ago. Okay, so please let me know, folks, if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. So we have a question here from Adrian. My Jerusalem artichokes are only coming into flower now. How soon do I harvest the tubers? So as soon as, so first of all, congratulations, your Jerusalem artichoke have actually gone to flower. Some years in some locations they may not make it to flower, but usually November time you will get flowers, even the end of October. So not all things are 4 to 6 weeks behind, like the corn, for example, this year, but the Jerusalem artichokes usually do flower quite late in the year anyway, towards the end of the very end of the growing season, almost as late as the Mashua. They're actually the last flower in the garden in December, but the Jerusalem artichokes would be about the second last one. And you can harvest them anytime as soon as the leaves and the stalks have completely dried up. That's when all of the energy has been retrieved and stored in the ground in the form of tubers. They're still packing tubers now. They're putting on weight underground. They're going to sleep now. They're just hibernating and taking in whatever energy they can just to make it through the winter well and regrow again in spring. So we usually harvest them as we need them. There is no panic with Jerusalem artichokes at all. There is no natural pests because they're full of inulin and things don't want to eat them. And the animals, I guess, haven't figured out that you need to cure them for a couple of weeks before you eat them. So curing is simply to put them somewhere in light, even if it's dappled like a daylight, or even a windowsill or a table in the greenhouse is fine. For 2 weeks is ideal. 1 to 2 weeks depends. You can try it yourself, and the Jerusalem artichoke just becomes some of the inulin will actually turn into sugars. So that's the advantage you'll have. And they won't be too bad on your digestive system. They won't be too heavy on your digestive system, but also they're a very good probiotic as well. So they are healthy like that. But again, to harvest them, we don't panic. We harvest them whenever we need them. The frost doesn't do them any harm. We had frosts of -9 degrees Celsius here. And the Jerusalem artichokes were fine, unless they maybe come to the surface. Some of the ones that are actually exposed on the surface of the soil, they might take a tiny bit of frost damage, but in general, there is no problem with them. With other plants, you're better off harvesting them, like the oca and the yacon. Those are some of those Andean, Incan tuberous plants. The Jerusalem artichoke is native to the north of America. So, and the South American tubers are more frost tender. You better harvest them before the frost. With Jerusalem artichoke, it doesn't make a difference. They are actually photosensitive. So now, let's see here. I have a question from Marie here. What will you be planting in October? Very little, actually. Probably only the alliums, like the garlic and the orphrey, which is actually a bulbous leek from Belgium. And those are still available now, actually, just for a short while, just in case you're interested in growing them. Let me just type that in here. Orphrey is how they spell that. And I just put it into the chat. So any of the garlics can still be planted now, this month or next month. Ideally now, because that'll give them some time to root and actually start growing. Garlic grows through the winter, so there isn't any point in starting any other plants at this stage. They're not growing. So one of the reason why I actually was showing you the weather earlier was because it is actually overall quite cold now. So like during the day, even with the sun out, it gets warm enough. The only trouble is like 12 degrees maybe, and maybe a little bit more. But at night time, if it goes down to like 5 or below, the plants are not growing. I've spotted, we made that new garden a little bit of an addition to the no-dig garden in August with a permaculture design course group. And we planted it up kind of towards the end of August, and things didn't really take off much. Like it's been 2 months nearly, and plants really haven't grown much at all since. So let me see here. So I hope that answers your question. I don't bother starting seeds now this time of year. You're better off starting them anytime from January until pretty much August, I think. August is about the latest that I would start some of those. And growing plants from cuttings, you can do it almost any time of year, although you are better off starting them, say, December until kind of September, sort of that kind of range. October isn't really that good a month for that, or even November. But there's no harm in doing the cuttings. We do a lot of cuttings from November onwards because that's when the bare root season starts and all the leaves off the herbaceous plants anyway have come off. or all of the deciduous plants, and they're all going hibernating for the winter. So what we do is we start sending out the cuttings. So we do sell cuttings on our website as well, like willow and poplar. Actually, here, I brought some. This is the willow, and I want to show it to you because, look, the leaves are still pretty good. So you can still use them as fodder if you have animals, such as, I guess, ruminants or rabbits or that type of thing. They love eating the leaves and the bark too. So this is just a tip of a 10-foot or 3-meter long stalk. And the willows are starting to lose the leaves though, down low on the branches. So I'd say another 2 or 3 weeks, excuse me, probably another 2 or 3 weeks or so until, gone dry now, until you can start harvesting the wood for cuttings anyway. And this is the hybrid poplar. It's also a fodder tree as well. But every winter we sell out of hybrid poplar cuttings and especially willow cuttings. Last winter we did 35,000 willow cuttings. So hopefully most of those have taken, and hopefully there's plenty of trees growing, plenty of extra trees growing in the landscape and people's gardens as well, and giving them shelter and providing extra food for the bees in early spring. Not off this one, but off the willow now. That does produce a lot of pollen or a lot of nectar in early spring. But the hybrid poplar also has its place. It also grows really quick as well. And I also brought this actually. One second now. Let me take that off the screen there. The owl poplar is very sticky. It has a lot of resin. You see this here? I just brought this in. This is a fennel seed stalk. And some of the seeds have gone dry, so you could actually dry them a little bit more or wait until they come off, and then put them into a bag and then sow them next year. So I just brought it to remind myself to remind you to actually go out there into your garden and have a look around. See if there's any seeds that you can save from your garden. There is a video I put out recently. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. Just about seed saving. And you can still save a lot of the flower seeds especially. So we saved lovage seeds, for example. Dahlias are out there. I'm going to take a lot of dahlia seeds, and I'm going to take as many fennel seeds as I can, as well as what else had we? Feverfew and a few other ones. Some of the other flower seeds are out there now, and you can still harvest them. Actually, a lot of them will have gone dry, just like these ones here, on the stalks. So you can actually just shake them into a tub. And all you do then to get rid of the little insects that probably will fall into the tub along with the seeds, you just leave the tub somewhere for a day, like in the greenhouse on the table, and all of the insects have a chance to escape. And then you just come along the next day and put the seeds into a bag. And make sure you label it, because you won't remember what it is. Just put a little date on it too, even like the month and the year when you collected them. That way you'll know what you have, and then you can bring those seeds to the next seed and plant swap here in Knockcrockery, if you live in the Midlands of Ireland anyway. For those of you who are here, some of you I know have been to the seed and plant swap that are joining here or in our lives. This is actually a Jerusalem artichoke flower. This is a young flower, so it doesn't have big petals. Very shaky. Hang on. There you go. And this is actually a yakhorn flower. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's like a giant daisy. And look at the size of them. So the yakhorns are actually ready to harvest almost, but I'm going to leave them in the ground until the frost knocks back all of the foliage. Same as the ochas, they're still producing tubers now. So I wouldn't bother getting rid of them, or you could harvest a few if you have loads of them, but there's really no need to harvest them yet. There's no panic yet. And does anyone here know what that is? This is aronia berry, and it has the most beautiful foliage of them all. It's kind of like a Japanese maple. It's also yellow as well. You can't really see it very well, but I just brought two little branches. I wonder, can you grow it from cuttings? Does anyone know? Because if aronia grows from cuttings, we're going to try that next year and see if we can root them, because our plants are now about 6 years old and they made a lot of kind of root suckers, but we need to build up the compost around them just to get all of those suckers to root, as in like all the extra little plants that are coming from the mother plant. So we're going to do our giveaway, and let me just take a look here. If there's any other questions, real quick. Oh, my congratulations! You've harvested your first hazelnuts. Jesus, how quick was that? How old were those hazelnut trees that you planted? And were they named variety, I wonder? Were they grafted, maybe? I was wondering about that, because the hazelnuts, some of our hazels didn't do too well. I bought like, I think 3 or 4 varieties, named varieties, and they're quite expensive. They're €35 per stool, I should say, per plant. And they take a couple of years to take off as well. They are a bit slow to take off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and propagate some hazels. And I know that hazels and cobnuts are supposed to do fine here in Ireland, but I know walnuts and sweet chestnuts, not so great. Unfortunately, those are the 2 main nuts that Mark Shepard actually grows in Wisconsin. So let me see here. So Adrian has a question here. We grow 5 acres of commercial willow, usually sold to Edenderry Power Station to produce electricity. Question: what if any pests do you get? We get willow beetle. The cure is to put livestock like sheep and calves into the willow over winter, and remove the beetle's cover. So when do you cut it? I don't know, to be honest. I haven't had any kind of pests yet. But if there is any kind of beetles like that, I guess these are the small little tiny black beetles. Are they even beetles? Would they be considered beetles if they're that small? I think they're only 1 or 2 millimeters, maybe, in length. If that's the same ones you're talking about, I've seen those before. And what I would suggest is waiting for the frost to kill them off. Really, that's if you get a good frost. Of course, that won't get rid of the eggs, though. So you could end up with them year after year. Of course, on this kind of scale, like 5 acres, you wouldn't be going around spraying trees anyway, which we won't be. We never spray even what organic growers are allowed to spray, like some kind of a natural solution to that type of thing. So what does the livestock do to the willows? Does the livestock just eat them back? But surely that's not desirable, because they'll eat the whole thing. If you're coppicing them, or like, what do? You actually, I guess you cut them back first, and then you let the livestock in, is it? And then they eat the rest. I'm always afraid that some of that livestock, like the sheep, probably would eat the bark of the willow tree, because it appears to be quite delicious to some of these animals, especially rabbits. So let me see here. All right, yeah. Yeah. So let me see here. So, oh yes, so Mike, your hazelnuts, yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, congratulations on your hazels. We're going to do our little a giveaway now for those of you who are here. It's a €50 voucher this week for our online shop. Our online shop is right here. I'll just put a link into the. Hang on. Let me just put a link here. So that's our online shop, and we're going to do the giveaway now for a €50 voucher. Let me have a look here real quick. So to enter, all you have to do is type in the word enter in all capital letters into the chat right now. If you are watching this afterwards, after this has been a live broadcast, or if you're listening to the audio afterwards, fear not, you can always join us again some other time when we're live. By the way, for those of you joining us, I see everybody almost here is joining us from the Gardens for Life YouTube channel. There's actually 14 people joining us from over there. And thank you for joining us. I really appreciate your company, even though I can't see you, except for in the chat. For those of you on Facebook, there's only one person on Facebook at the moment. We are going to be only streaming to the YouTube channel anymore, I think, from now on, because there's no point in streaming to everywhere when there's it's just easier that way. So we're going to be on our Gardens for Life YouTube channel anymore. But don't worry, if you're on the email list, you'll always get a link, so you can always join the email list. All it is gardensforlife.ie/subscribe, and it's free to join. Just send out, you get an email maybe 2 or 3 emails a week or something like that, whenever there's something new going on. Let me just take a look again. So if you want to enter the competition, or it's not a competition, is it? It's a draw. It's a free draw. You can enter it free of charge. Just type the word enter into the chat right now, and you have a chance to win. And we're going to start up our random comment picking website here, and we will show you our online shop one more time. That's the shop. So if you want to have a look to see what we've got, we'd highly appreciate your support. But obviously, hang on, you might win the voucher. So if you don't, fear not, you can always try again next week. So let's see here. We have quite a few people entering actually today. Let me see here. If I had a drum roll now, I'd put it on. The winner of today's show is Graham. Congratulations. So please send me an email to contact@gardensforlife.ie straight after the show or right now, and yeah, we'll send you your voucher then. And it's online anyway, so we're not going to do this over the post. We're just going to do it by email. So please email me. Let me see here. Again, even if you other guys, if the rest of you have any questions for me, you can always email me here too, and I will try to include those in the next public discussion. So Graham, please email me, and I will make sure that you get your voucher. And if you'd like to support us, you can buy something on our online shop or off of our website and the recommended products, or you can become a member of the Gardens for Life support community, either on our website, gardensforlife.ie/members. I do read out domain names or URLs quite often because some of you will be listening to the audio of this afterwards. And you can also join us on YouTube as a membership too. So you can become either friends of Gardens for Life for €2, or for €5 become a full member, and it's €5 per month or €50 per year. And you get all kinds of benefits with the membership as well, like a 25% discount for everything we do, but also you also get a free gift with every physical order. You also get access to our no-dig online course, no-dig gardening course, free of charge, and that's to the value of €69 as well. So there's also a few ebooks as well, also in the membership lobby. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time. Let me just have a quick look at the chat here. All right. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining again. See you guys. Bye.